Hello friends. In every time when Nikon launch a new camera, and I always mention that I have a very long journey with the Nikon for last 20 to 25 years. And I proudly announce that I am Nikonist. Nikon has already uploaded the official video about the new launch in last week. I always feel great and excited when Nikon launch any new camera. So I don't want to miss to upload a review of this camera. So today I am here with the new Nikon Z9's features. Nikon just launched a new full frame flagship mirrorless camera Z9. The Nikon Z9 is a 45.7 MP full frame Pro Sports mirrorless camera, a high-speed 8K shooting statement of intent from one of the industry's biggest players. It is a fashionably late, but the Nikon Z9 has definitely made an entrance. On paper, it beats the Sony A1 and Canon EOS R3 with its blistering 120 FPS burst shooting, 8K 60p capability, 2 hours of 8K 30p recording, and a price tag that's $100 cheaper. This is a remarkable camera that promises next level performance. We will need to properly field test it to see, but color us very impressed right now. The Nikon Z9 is a traditional looking mirrorless camera that's designed to appeal to those making to switch from DSLR. In the hand, it feels like a flagship Nikon camera should rock solid and ergonomically refined. It is an old school design, but the Z9 body is a 20% smaller than the beefy Nikon D6, and the deep comfortable grip is ideal for the both horizontal and vertical shooting. In the spirit of the bulldozers like the Nikon F4 from the 1980s, it is also a bit like a tank with the magnesium alloy body that's fully weather sealed. Also coming from the Nikon's DSLRs is an autofocus mode button for quickly switching between manual and autofocus. And round the back is a handy feature that we enjoyed during our short play. A dual axis monitor that tilts 90 degrees in both horizontal and vertical directions. Nikon Z9's monitor does not flip around to the face the front like the latest display. But given the Z9 is a predominantly for photographers, this is a likely fine for the most buyers. And the ability to see what you are shooting from the low angles in the portrait or landscapes orientations is a real bonus, especially for the pros who are increasingly being asked to deliver stills and video in portrait format to suit phones and tablets. The Nikon Z9's info display also handily rotate when you turn into the portrait mode, which helps you avoid craning your neck. And the eye menu seen on the Nikon Z6 Mark II and Z7 Mark II also returns here. Nikon claims the Z9's EVF has absolutely no lag or blackout, giving you a continuous real-time view that's akin to an optical viewfinder. The EVF is also a super bright 3000 nit panel that certainly looked crisp and clear. Nikon has added a new sensor shield which drops down when you remove the lens. Like the Nikon's D6, the Z9's rear button are also illuminated to help you find them in the dark, although this can be turned off. Nikon Z9 does not apply to track people, also track faces, eyes, heads and upper bodies in animals, bodies, eyes and heads, in vehicles, cars, motorbikes, planes and trains. This means the Nikon Z9 can recognize up to the 10 different types of the subject in the single frame, track them all individually. In terms of autofocusing power, the Nikon Z9 is a big leap forward from the Nikon Z7 II, offering 5 times as many auto area autofocus points as that camera. These are the AF points that can automatically detect a subject in the frame and acquire focus. And Nikon says that it offers better subject tracking across the frame than the previous flagship Nikon D6. Focus in dark, it go down to minus 8.5 EV. Subject detection and autofocus work all the way down to minus 6.5 EV activate straight mode, and focus all the way down to minus 8.5 EV And since you are spending more time in the dark, the Z9's buttons are eliminated. The intelligent and processing power within Xpeed 7 improves electronic VR for the video recording, correcting distortion from wide-angle lens and allowing you to create smooth handheld walking shots. The Nikon Z9 meanwhile can shoot full resolution RAW at the 20 fps, and Nikon's big claim is that you can do this for over 1000 frames. Again, this is when using pro-grade digital Goblet CF Express card, but the promise of the near limitless buffer when shooting at those speeds will light up the eyes of the sports, news and wildlife snappers. It is that not quite fast enough, the Z9 does also offer a crowd burst mode that can hit 120 fps. Given this only shoots 11 MP JPEGs, it is likely to be slightly niche emergency mode for professional photographers. Through the fact that it can do this with the full AF AE tracking is impressive. In other words, these are not just video frames. Nikon also says that when you factor in the FTZ adapter for the mounting older f-mount lenses, this mode is available for over 100 lenses. Nikon says the Z9 new stacked sensor has the world's fastest sensor scan rates, which means it is electronic only. Shutter keeps even fast moving lines straight, but the slightly concentrating caveat is that Nikon claims the only virtually does away with rolling shutter distortion. The Z9 outputs two data streams from the stacked CMOS sensor, one for the writing to the memory card and one for the viewing. The viewing stream is unaffected by any capture processing, leaving a lag-free, uninterrupted view with absolutely no blackout. The Nikon Z9 stacked 45.7 MP full frame CMOS sensor effectively make it a super powered version of Nikon Z7 II, which also offers a 45.7 MP resolution but without the stacked chip or speedy readout speeds. Wide open in any light, 1:32,000 seconds shutter speed. Turn your shutter speed all the way up to 1:32,000 seconds and shoot wide open in harsh light. Enjoy the beautiful bouquet of a Nikon Z lenses in more situations than ever. The fast readout sensor was always likely to help the Z9's video performance, but Nikon has clearly put a lot of effort into the make sure it offers modes that are usable rather than just looking good on the spec sheet. For instance, it becomes the first Nikon camera to be able to capture low footage internally. At the launch, the camera will offer 8K 30p oversampled 4K from 8K capture at up to the 30p or less detailed 4K at up to 120p taken from the full width of the sensor, either binned or line skipped. This capability will be explained with the promised firmware update in 2022. At first, you will have the choice of 8 or 10-bit files with the H.264, H.265 or vast delivery ready ProRes 422 HQ comparison, but these options to be explained a later date. Nikon says the camera will be able to shoot its overwhelmed 4K 30 for more than 2 hours at normal temperature. The Z9 uses the ENL EL18D, the latest variant of the large battery used by the previous pro-grade Nikons. It will work with the all previous ENL EL18 batteries but can only charge B, C and D version in the camera over USB and will deliver more shots. With the ENL EL18D, the charger supplied with the Z9 also only supports the three more recent variants. On paper, there is certainly lots of potential. Its native ISO range of 64 to 25,600 and options to extend these down to ISO 32 and up to ISO 10,2400. Nikon says the Z9 has a new algorithm to help process out noise in dimly lit situations. The Nikon Z9's new Xpeed 7 processor has also apparently brought improvements to the white balance, enabling it to the more accurate reproduce skin tones or produce colors. That's all mean less tweaking in the post production. This will be welcomed by the both sports and commercial photographers, especially as these algorithms also affect exposure when using flash. New RAW format retains the same high image quality, dynamic range, and flexibility as conventional RAW files with approximately one-third smaller file size. Speed up your workflow. Faster image upload 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi 1000 base T wired LAN. Deliver your image to your editor faster than ever with the built-in the 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi for over-the-air transfers and 1000 base T for faster wire transfers. Increase your productivity and your ability to deliver amazing images on time with the NX Mobile Air. There is no computer required. No need for the separate wireless transmitter, and images can be automatically uploaded without ever touching your smartphone. Nikon's NX Mobile Air is an Android and iOS app that lets you tether a compatible Nikon camera to a smartphone for in the moment FTP upload over 4G or 5G cellular connection. Easily manage your FTP server and make simple photo edits, enter IPTC data, and even add voice memos. Whether you are at the packed venue, away from a Wi-Fi connection, or just traveling light, you can still hit the deadline. Available as a free app with an optional subscription. App will coming soon to the App Store and Google Play. And on the first impression, that's what the Nikon Z9 appears to have done. It effectively combines the Nikon D6 and Nikon D850 and takes them to the new mirrorless level, creating a super powered Nikon Z7 Mark II in the process. For owner of the older Nikon DSLRs like the Nikon's D850 or Nikon D or Nikon 810 who have been patiently waiting for this camera to go all out on a professional mirrorless body. The Nikon Z9 looks like a no-brainer. It is expensive of course, but also much cheaper than the Nikon D6 was at launch at aggressive price tag of $5,499. This is the best camera for the photography in the world right now. So that's all for the today. Soon I will come with the new tutorial.